Welcome in, everybody, to Betting Pros. It's time to place your bets. It is me, Joey P, Joe Pisapia, and this is BP NFL. It's time for the look ahead for Week 11. The lines, the numbers, we got them all for you. And of course, we've also got Andrew Erickson, the Undertaker himself. Andrew, I was much happier with Week 10. I was not a big fan of Week 9, you know that. And it turns out all I needed to do was go on vacation for a couple days and get a little bit of fresh perspective, just like one of my favorite films, Ratatouille. A little bit of perspective goes a long way. 9-2. Follow me on bettingpros.com/Joe, or just put Joe Pisapia into the little search bar. Same thing for Andrew Erickson. It was a good week for our Patriots. It was a bad week for the Jets. A good week for betting. I'm in a great mood this Monday morning. I can't tell you how I'm just happy. I'm flying high, Andrew. Flying high.
You're flying higher than the Dallas Cowboys.
Well, that's a low bar.
You just got to jump.
That is a plane without wings, without an engine, without a pilot. It's bad news right now for the Cowboys.
It's and this is one of these things where I don't see where this gets better. So this is an attack Dallas. Just every single game, attack, because this is starting to spiral. And when we're talking about the NFL draft, is anyone going to be surprised when we look up with the number 3 overall pick? The Dallas Cowboys are on the clock, right?
No, that would not be shocking
No
at all.
one's going to be surprised by that. So get on it now. Don't be optimistic that Dallas can turn this around. They are a bad team, and there is no hope at the end of the tunnel.
Don't be surprised when they blow that pick as well. Also, Andrew, are you taking it personally that ever since you made that proclamation that you were off of the Carolina Panthers, that they are now 2-0 ever since? Like, it feels like maybe you jumped off that bandwagon a little too soon.
Well, I did bet the under in that game, which came through,
Okay,
even though the game went into overtime, because this is one of these things where I'm trying to zoom out at the quarterbacks, right? Daniel Jones versus Bryce Young, bet the under. Just like what I did with Jacksonville and Minnesota. Mac Jones, Sam Darnold.
You got that one.
Bet the under.
Gross. That one pissed me off, let me tell you. A lot of Justin Jefferson DFS shares did not go well. But the NFL, the good thing about this time of year is, the first month of the season is always very hard. When we get to week 9, 10, we know who teams are and who they aren't. We have good numbers on everybody. This is the time where you can really make a lot of money in that betting market. So we want you to be a part of it with us. Download the Betting Pros app, be with us, be part of the shows, subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your pods. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. And speaking of all that fun stuff we've got going on, we've still got that Mike Evans Buccaneers helmet giveaway too. So you can get in on that right now if you want a chance to score the Mike Evans Buccaneers helmet for free, courtesy of our friends at pristineauction.com. All you need to do is head to bettingpros.com/contest, complete the form, and either download the Betting Pros app, leave a review of the Betting Pros podcast, or subscribe to our social media channels at Betting Pros on X and TikTok, and Betting Pros NFL on the Instagram, the IG. And the more actions you complete, the more entries you can receive, and we'll be announcing the winner right here on this channel. So subscribe to the YouTube channel of Betting Pros, and we'll let you know when you win that prize. And of course, you'll never miss an episode of the BP show. Last week, Andrew nailed the upset special finally too. It was a good week. I want to continue these good feelings going. Let's start with Thursday Night Football, a fun one. We talked about Washington finally getting a real test here with the Steelers. They did not pass the test. They fell short. They get the Eagles this week in a very important matchup here. I think this is really important to see. Did they hold Brian Robinson Jr. back yesterday because they know the importance of this game Thursday night against the Eagles? I think the answer is yes. I think you see him, and I think you see the Washington Commanders give it everything they've got in Philadelphia. This is a great game. 3.5 is the number, 49.5 for the total. The Eagles obviously favorites on the 3.5 side, and Washington plus 150. So here's the thing, Andrew. The value on this game is on the money line plus 150, Washington straight up. That's where the value is if you think they can win this game. Do you think they can?
I don't know. This is one of these games where I kind of want to sit back and watch because it goes with the Eagles, right? Which Eagles team are we going to get? Because you go to the beginning of that Dallas game, if Ezekiel Elliott doesn't cough the ball up at the 5-yard line, the Dallas Cowboys are potentially going into half with a lead, led by Cooper Rush, who threw for, I think, 40 yards in the entire game. So, again, I just don't have faith in the Eagles, and that's why I'm concerned about them. So I agree with you that, hey, if you're looking for value here, it definitely is on the Commanders just to win outright. But I think that, isn't the sharp play just betting the under? It's a 49.5. It's on a short week. It's a divisional matchup. And look at how the Eagles have been really good on defense. Like, that's been one of their strengths since they've kind of gotten more understanding with Vic Fangio. And the thing with the Commanders is, every time I keep watching them, like McLaurin is so fantastic, but this team so needs a number two guy. Like they need somebody else because if McLaurin is getting all the attention, then who is Jane Daniels going to? Guys like Zacchaeus and Noah Brown, Zach Ertz. Like those guys aren't difference makers, especially if the run game isn't cooking. So for me, 49.5, a ton on a short week. Again, usually Thursday nights, usually shade towards the under. And this is a massive total and divisional game. So that's kind of where I'm leaning early on.
I'm leaning, closing my eyes and betting the plus 150 on the money line for Washington. That's where I'm at right now. I'm with you, though. This is a tenuous one because you don't know which Eagles team shows up. And last week against Dallas, it was not, I don't want to say a letdown game for them, but kind of, right? I mean, in a sense, like you kind of get up for that Dallas Cowboy game, and it's like, okay, now the Commanders come into town. Okay, whatever. And it depends on how seriously they take this Commanders team. And maybe the best thing to happen for this Commanders team is to have that loss against Pittsburgh, kind of get checked a little bit and say, okay, this is what it takes now. This is the standard. Now we got the Eagles coming up. Let's regroup. And it's going to tell you a lot about Jaden Daniels and Dan Quinn and this team. So it's going to be a fun game. Green Bay, Chicago. Green Bay coming off a bye. The Chicago Bears coming off a loss. They were 7-point favorites this time last week at home. Now they're 6.5-point underdogs at home, the Chicago Bears. 41 is the number, plus 230 for the Bears on the money line. I imagine any minute now, hasn't been announced yet, but the offensive coordinator is probably not coming back this week. Bold predictions from Joe Stradamus. Let me rub my bald head and see if I can get the predictions. I just don't think he's coming back.
Shane Waldron is going to be no more.
I don't think Shane Waldron's going to be there. That being said, give me the Green Bay Packers with the 6.5. I know it doesn't sound great. It sounds like a lot of points, but a week off for Jordan Love, a little bit of reset, and I think the Packers go back to kicking the butt of the Chicago Bears. So I'm confident in this one, even though 6.5 is pretty strong. It's a touchdown. I'll take it. How about you, Andrew?
Yeah, you just can't have any faith in the Bears right now. When you look at the rest of their schedule this season, I'm not sure where they're going to turn around because this matchup against the Patriots, this was the last spot for them to put on a good offensive performance because they have the hardest schedule remaining when you just look at the strength of their opponents. So they had their easy games. They had their cakewalk games. And there were moments where against Jacksonville Jaguars, Caleb Williams looked the part. But then when the challenges and defensive have increased in competition, he has not met the bill. I mean, it's just a sack machine, man. Like the offensive line is an absolute mess. They had another injury. Tevin Jenkins left the game against the Patriots. So yeah, just give me the Packers.
All right, let's get to the next one on the docket for week 11, the Los Angeles Rams and the New England Patriots. So the Patriots at home, underdogs again, plus 5.5. Now I don't want them to keep winning here. Like here's the thing. I guess
slow down.
Please. Patriots this is cute. It's adorable. Like I'm very happy you beat the Jets. That to me, everything else is gravy. Beat the Jets, get the number 1 overall pick. I'm just thrilled with that scenario. To me, that's a successful season. But here you go. The New England Patriots now 3-7. We'll see what the Rams do tonight. But the Rams 5.5-point favorites here. 43.5 is the number. Plus 198 for the Patriots on the money line. This feels very dangerous to me. If anything, again, I'm leaning towards the Patriots on the 5.5 because I do think the Pats have shown you they're going to kind of keep things tight and close these last few weeks. They are competing. I think Gerard Mayo was right for calling them out. He did. Ever since the call out, this team is fighting. They're winning games, but they're also keeping games very close. Andrew, what are your thoughts on this one?
I like the over. Over 43.5 points. I mean, Drake May has injected life into the Patriots offense. Again, no one was expecting this matchup against the Bears to be high scoring in any way. But against the Rams, their defense is horrible. I think they're going to get lit up by the Miami Dolphins, specifically by Jalen Waddle tonight on Monday Night Football. And I think that you're going to see this line move. So I like getting it at 43.5 now because I don't think the Patriots are going to be able to stop Matthew Stafford and all these wide receivers, Kyron Williams. Look, again, against capable offenses, the Patriots defense has been horrible. It really, I think last week or against the Bears, it really was more about just the Bears' ineptitude about doing anything offensively. So
it's the same thing with the Jets' ineptitude. Yes, you're right.
Yes.
It's absolutely ineptitude.
The Patriots defense is still bad, and they are going to get shredded by Matthew Stafford and company. So I like the over.
Yeah. All right. Let's go to Las Vegas Raiders and the Miami Dolphins. So the Raiders had a week off to think about all their sins of the year. And they are 7-point underdogs, which feels like a lot of points. I got to tell you, my faith in the Miami Dolphins is slim and none. And 45.5 is the number for this one. Plus 270 for the Las Vegas Raiders. This game does not have a lot of appeal to me personally here. There's a ton of value on the upset special on Vegas. I just don't know if I'm there yet. a lot of that would have to do with the health of Tyreek Hill. If Hill doesn't play tonight and it turns out this wrist issue is a longer term thing, then all of a sudden I'm looking at that plus 270 and I'm thinking, okay, that's good. I just don't have enough information right now. So from an early line standpoint, this is a game that I'm a little bit more setting my line alerts on BettingPros, which you can do, by the way. Set those line alerts, download the BP app, set the line alerts, watch where this one goes and how this might grow or shrink in the days to come as more information floods out there with the custom line alerts. Again, you can get that over on BP. But Andrew, where are you at here with this game too? Because again, there's still kind of waiting on a little bit more clarity with Tyreek Hill, and we'll see if or how he performs tonight.
Yeah, I don't like that many points for the Miami Dolphins, even if they're playing at home.
Yeah.
They're theoretically supposed to be better, but that really hasn't been the case this year. So I actually really like the under 45.5 points. That's what the total is right now. I don't expect the Raiders to. Who's their quarterback? Is it going to be Desmond Ridder that comes out as the starting quarterback? If I can bet against Desmond Ridder scoring points, please sign me up, because Miami's defense this year, when they've played bad quarterbacks, those games have gone under the total. So even as bad as the Raiders defense is at times, it's still probably the better of their two units, offensive defense. The defense is probably still better coming off a bye week. I think they can throw enough at the Dolphins coming off a short week, potentially, if Tyreek is banged up. And also you have what happens on Monday night. What if there's another injury to the Dolphins offensive line, and then now you're going to the under. So I think right now, if you're betting this on Monday before the game, just bet the under.
This is a classic. You just need more information. Some games, like last week, we had a couple games we were really in on. Even this week, a couple that we want to jump in right away. Others, sometimes you got to pump the brakes. You need more information. Like Green Bay, Chicago, I don't need more information. I'm good. I've seen enough of the Bears the last couple weeks. I don't know how they could be so good before the bye, like flying high, seeming like they're turning the corner, hit the bye, and then fall apart. Because that's what they've done. Defensively, offensively, just falling apart. And another team falling apart at the seams, the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, this is a big number. Last time we saw Detroit with a big number, they crushed it. They covered by 30 plus. So now they get Mac Jones coming into town. Jacksonville Jaguars into Detroit. 12.5 was the number. Now it's 13 in a lot of spots already from last night. 47.5 is the total. Plus 550 for the Jags on the money line. Question is, are we comfortable with the 13? And will it grow even more, Andrew Erickson?
I can't believe this line has moved in favor of Lions after Goff threw 5 interceptions. All it is has gotten larger after he threw 5 interceptions and the Lions somehow won that game, came back. I have no idea still. Rewatching that game, I thought, man, how did they come back? But it's just because they showed up in the red zone, held the Houston Texans to field goals, and that's why red zone defense is so important. So
yeah,
I mean, I'm not touching 13 points again. It's too many points. I get that it's the Lions, but this is giving them so much credit. And I get that Jacksonville's gonna be playing Mac Jones on the road, but I don't know. It's just laying that many points. Again, this is the NFL, right? So many weird things happen. I mean, we saw the Jacksonville Jaguars almost upset the Minnesota Vikings, and they were a touchdown favorite at home against a quarterback that also threw a bunch of interceptions. So things can get weird. I think I'd probably stay away. If anything, I'd probably just bet the over again. This is Detroit. This is where games usually go. Again, playing at Coors Field, Ford Field of the NFL. So if anything, I'd just bet the over, bet on points.
I'm going to take this. I'm comfortable with the points. Jared Goff is unfazed by all the picks he threw. Therefore, I am unfazed by it. They continues to win football games. And as long as you keep having those good feelings, you feel invincible. And I think the Lions right now are feeling invincible. And I know a team that's feeling quite vincible. And the Jacksonville Jaguars are vinced. Like they are just, they're done. They're toast. Doug Peterson's toast. Mac Jones on the road in this building. Nope. I think the conquering heroes here, the Detroit Lions coming home here looking good. I think this is another smash, just like they did last time. I think the one thing you could say about these Dan Campbell teams is they don't overlook and fall into these traps, which is something even good teams do sometimes. We've seen Campbell's got them very focused every single week. And typically this would be a trap game on the schedule. You would say, okay, just big game against Houston. You won it on the road despite Sunday Night Football, all these things. You made the kick by the skin of your teeth. Okay, never the big letdown next week. I don't think that letdown happens. I don't think Dan Campbell's a letdown kind of guy. And that's why they're 8-1. That's why they are where they are right now. All right, let's talk about the Cleveland Browns and the New Orleans Saints. Man, oh man, the adage is true. I wasn't here last week. I was on vacation, so you missed the whole every time a team fires their head coach, you go and you bet them, except when it's the Jets. And you know what? I wasn't here to talk about it.
No,
I don't
Furman
know if you guys...
did. That was one of his best bets.
Well, okay, good. I'm so glad that Furman did it because that is something you always run to. Despite the fact that it was the Falcons, all those things, I hope everybody listened to Terrell. They are now 2.5 point favorites against the Cleveland Browns in their own building here in New Orleans. 44 is the number for this one, plus 120. I'm going the over on the 44. To me, that's the best way to approach this one. It was fun last week. Haha, we got a win. My faith in New Orleans isn't great. It's usually that 1 week bounce you get where teams rally around. When a beloved head coach is fired, it's different. When a head coach people don't like is fired, that's when the W's tend to circle. So, Andrew Erickson, how do you approach the Cleveland Browns off the bye against the streaking 1 win in a row New Orleans Saints?
Yeah, I think this is where we see the dead cat bounce kind of ends, right? You get the boost for the 1 week, and then you kind of go back to, wow, the Saints team traded away Marshawn Lattimore, really doesn't have that good of a roster.
Are you saying we can't rely on MVS to have 3 catches for 100 yards and 2 touchdowns?
I was thinking about this, putting him where do you rank MVS in your waiver wire rankings for fantasy? Because, everyone's going to look at the box score, but then you look at the matchup, right? Again, they're facing the Cleveland Browns, who actually like here on the money line just to win outright. Jameis Winston, revenge game against the New Orleans Saints, going head to head with Derek Carr. So I do like Winston and the Browns to kind of get it done here. But the one team that always seems to have coverage busts is the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah. Oh, that's why I'm saying just give me the over. Give me the over. They have
and who benefits from that the most is Mr. MVS.
You're right. He just got to actually catch the football.
Catch the
football. And he did. All 3 targets he caught for a C note and 2 tutties. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. All right, so let's go the over on that one. I think we both agree. Minnesota 7-2, an ugly victory for them in a game they should have smashed, but they did not. Boo, Sam Darnold. I'm 9-2 this week, and one of those 2 that I lost was by 3 yards from Sam Darnold. 3! You couldn't have gotten 1 less interception. Just 1 more completion would have done it for me. Anyway, the Tennessee Titans, they stink. They'll be at home against the Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings 6.5 point favorites. 39.5 is the number, plus 225 for the Tennessee side. So, Andrew, any love here on the money line maybe for the Tennessee Titans? I know it sounds a little crazy, but I don't know. This Vikings team just doesn't seem to have the same oomph it had in the first 6 weeks of the season.
I would agree. I think Titans plus 6.5 is one of the better bets that you can make right now, because remember what happened last week, right? So we had the Vikings on the road as 4.5 point favorites when we thought Trevor Lawrence was going to be the quarterback in Jacksonville. And then Mac Jones gets the start, it moves to a touchdown, and they only win by 5 points because Sam Darnold was throwing interceptions left and right. The Titans actually have a good defense. Like, it is significantly better than Jacksonville. So I'm looking at this line. Didn't we just learn our lesson from last week? Where, no, you don't want to lay that many points with Sam Darnold on the road. And we're doing that again, laying 6.5 points with Sam Darnold on the road. So, yes, give me the Titans plus 6.5. And like Terrell always says, you got to sprinkle money line on your dogs, man. Next to the mustard.
Look, I'm there. I'm there. And maybe it's my rage from him missing that bet last week. Maybe I'm betting too emotional. Maybe that's what I'm doing. I don't know. But I kind of say the same thing. I don't know if I'm there quite for the plus 230 yet, but I'm there for the 6.5 right now. Maybe by Thursday I'll be there too. I'm sure Terrell will talk me into it, knowing him. All right, let's get to the next one here. This is a big game with big implications. Baltimore and Pittsburgh. 3 point favorites on the road are the Baltimore Ravens going into Pittsburgh. 47.5 is the number, plus 135. This looks like a football game that we can all rally around in that 1 o'clock hour and watch. And if you love football, this is it right here. This is like playoff-ish style stuff you're going to get here in week 11. So, Andrew, this line is basically telling you we're kind of like just straight down the middle. So, in a game that has range of outcomes in it, right, which seems like a fair amount, I think the range of outcome I'm going to take is the over on the 47.5, which I know sometimes when these in-division games get together, this is what happens. But with the way Baltimore secondary is played, I just don't have any faith that they can stop anything. And I think, this going more towards not quite what we saw on Thursday, as we talked last week, like just smash the over. It could be 60. We want the over, right? And it went to 70 again, right? This one, again, feels like it's going to get towards that over for me. Are you as bullish on this total as I am?
I think that's got to be the lean, right? Because when you look at Baltimore, Pittsburgh historically, right? These are all games that, this game's totally going under. But the fact that these teams have really morphed into some really strong offensive play. It's like, hey, this game going over is to make up for all those unders for so many years where every single game goes under the total. Again, it's weird seeing a Steelers game in this day and age with Mike Tomlin, TJ Watt, total 47.5 points.
Mm-hmm.
That's such a bizarre number to close or to open for a total with the game, the Pittsburgh Steelers playing at home. But it's talking about how good this Ravens offense is. They destroy everyone they play. It doesn't matter. Right. They're going to score points against everybody. And the Steelers offense with Russ has been cooking. Like averaging over 30 points per game. And the Ravens defense has shown zero ability to stop anybody on the defensive side of the ball. So I agree with you. I do think that there might be, and this is something that I'm always trying to think about, some value in looking at this from a live perspective, where you have two divisional teams maybe come out. It's a little bit tight, a little bit slow. Again, what happened last week, right? Bengals, Ravens. There wasn't much scoring in the first half, right? And then if you bet the over in the second half, oh baby, like you are cooking with a ton of value. So I think that might be an interesting way to look at it too, if you're looking at it from a really live perspective.
Betting perspective. Yeah, I like that. I like that. Look at Andrew dropping the knowledge here. And if you need more knowledge too, you should try the BettingPros betting systems tool. Another great tool over at BettingPros. So download the app, sync your sportsbooks for free, and check out the betting systems tool that's designed to help you find winning strategies and make smarter bets. You can customize your betting systems by sport, by bet type, and by time frame to find the best opportunities using real-time data and expert analysis. Track your performance of different betting systems over time and optimize your bets to increase your chances of success. So download the BP app today, elevate your betting strategy, and start making smarter bets. Now, the Indianapolis Colts can stay alive in the playoff hunt here at 4-6 if they can somehow beat the New York Jets in their building. The Jets are 3-point favorites in this game. I'm not going to say it's a Joe Flacco revenge game. There's no Joe Flacco revenge from the New York Jets days. It doesn't exist. 44 is the number, plus 135 if you like the Indianapolis Colts on the money line. That's where the value is for me. It's the plus side, taking the Colts to somehow find a way. It all depends on, do you think the wheels have come off this time? I warned everybody last week, just because the Jets beat the Texans without Nico Collins, without Stephon Diggs, in their own building, Houston traveling on a short week, there were so many reasons, and they were still terrible in the first half of that game. And yet they came out with a victory, and everybody wanted to think, oh, the Jets are back, Jets are back. They're not back. They just got shellacked by the Arizona Cardinals. Okay? So, Andrew, how do you approach this one? To me, again, the value is close your eyes and bet the Colts, not a good team, but maybe a team that might be good enough to beat a Jets team that just seems like it's in disarray.
I mean, aren't the Colts in disarray? I mean, what about the Colts the last 2 weeks has shown, oh, this is a team that knows exactly what they're doing. So that's the thing. I mean, you don't like either team here, so I'll just take the Jets. They're playing at home. It's only 3 points. Like, Rodgers can't beat Joe Flacco by 3 points. Really? I mean,
I don't know.
I mean, I'll just take the Jets.
That's a real question, Andrew. It's a real question. Like, I don't know. I mean, at this point, it's a real dilemma. The Denver Broncos gave the Chiefs everything they had, came up short. They are 1.5-point favorites at home against the Atlanta Falcons. 43.5 is the total, plus 105 on the Falcons side of this one. The Falcons did themselves a huge disservice. They should have put their foot on the Saints, run away with that division. Now you're going to have a tough game here. I like the Denver Broncos on this game, 100%. This is actually one of my favorite bets of the week. Give me the Broncos on the money line, minus 125. You just want to keep it simple, or give me the minus 1.5 if you're feeling plucky here on this one. But I think the Denver Broncos come out with a victory at home. Bo Nix has played very well. Words that, again, that I don't tend to feel like we're going to materialize from my mouth in 2024, yet here we are. But more often than not, he has gotten the job done. Defense is pretty good. Maybe Estime continues to elevate this run game a little bit. But to me, it feels like I just don't have the confidence of Kirk Cousins and that team going into Denver and coming out with a victory. I think the Denver Broncos find a way to win this game. Your thoughts?
I mean, that's what the market agrees, because you have the Broncos are favored at home. And when I was first looking at this game, I wasn't really sure. I mean, man, should the Broncos be favored? But I mean, they should have just beat the
I would
Chiefs.
have had them at 2.5. When I saw the 1.5, I was like, okay, like, fine.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have any bullish stance on the Atlanta Falcons. Again, they obviously fell victim because they had no chance because they were up against the dead cat pound. So they were going to lose that game pretty much no matter what. So they didn't really have. Yeah. So I'm not trying to take specifically what happened last week with Atlanta, but Atlanta's had plenty of moments this year where they've floundered, right, in specific spots where maybe they were the better team. They have been pretty good on the road this season. So that's one of the things I'm not sure how much I want to give Denver quote unquote home field advantage. But Denver, I say, is one of the places that probably still has a little bit of home field advantage to it, because I don't think that exists nearly as much as we give credit to sometimes. But yeah, I think I want to dive into this more a little bit, but I think you're kind of convincing me that the Broncos side is probably the sharp side here.
I gotta tell you, man, like I said, I thought it would be 2.5 at least. With the way the Broncos went into Kansas City and basically, had it.
They won. I mean, they were going to win the game. I mean, the guy missed the field goal, right? Like,
so let's give Denver some credit. That when I go home, I know I hate the term moral victory, but it kind of was. Like, it kind of is. Like, if you're Sean Payton, you come back with this team and say, hey, look, tough beat, but you show that you can hang with the best of the best. You're hanging with the Chiefs. You're hanging with the Super Bowl champions, right?
Yeah.
Go home and beat the Atlanta Falcons, and I think they will. All right, Seattle and San Francisco. San Francisco at home, 6.5 point favorites. 49.5 is the number. Plus 260 on the money line for the upset for the Seattle Seahawks. Andrew, I'm waiting on DK Metcalf news. That's what I'm waiting for in this game. If DK Metcalf is playing, I like the points with the Seahawks. I think they, even in garbage time, might be able to find a way. What do you think about San Fran, Seattle?
Oh my God, the 49ers, man. the fraudy Niners trying to cover the spread. They keep missing field goals left and right. They can't get out of their own way. McCaffrey's back, but it just seems like, again, just going back to the season-long fate of the 49ers, right? There just always seems like there's like something is missing from this team. And it just seems like they're always coming up just short. Even if they win games, it's just barely they're winning games. They're not looking nearly as effective as they were last year. I think for me, it's like, again, going back to DK Metcalf, if he doesn't play, like, how is this game going to go over 49.5 points? Again, it's a divisional game.
That's why, again, I can't make a decision on it until I get that news.
Yeah. So
one way or another.
I'm probably hands off this matchup.
All right. This is a wait for us on this one. Kansas City at Buffalo. Here we go. Okay. KC, if people keep giving KC all the crap because they keep finding ways to win games. Well, guess what? When you're well coached and you have good players on offense, defense, and special teams, you find ways to win games. Isn't that odd? Isn't that something? And you have leadership and all that stuff, all those intangible things. Yeah, look, you can hate on the Kansas City Chiefs all you want. Sorry, they're 9-0, and the Buffalo Bills might be without Dalton Kincaid for this game. We'll see. The health of Keon Coleman too. Still, the Buffalo Bills are favored -1.5 right now. That's where we're at. So Patrick Mahomes is an underdog, which me, I'm taking the Chiefs on the money line to +105. The total is 46.5. As soon as I see, again, it's like you're undefeated, and you're telling Patrick Mahomes he's the underdog. You bet it every single time until it, and even if it goes bust, I'm still betting it every single time. Your thoughts, Andrew?
I mean, I don't know how I'm just gonna follow that up, because everything you said is 100% accurate. Just keep keep betting. Like, why do the books keep doing this, right? Why do you keep making Patrick Mahomes an underdog?
Because they hate Buffalo. They hate the Buffalo Bills. They hate the Ravens. They just keep making him an underdog in these big games. I don't get it. I don't understand.
Again, eventually, they will lose a game as an underdog. But is this the matchup? The process says just keep betting on him as an underdog. So I'll dive into this a little bit more in the BettingPros primer this week, but for right now, I have nothing else to combat you with the Mahomes as the underdog take, because it's 100% true.
Even if it goes bust, I would still do it the next week if it happened next week. Like, I'm just like, okay,
but that's not wrong, because if you bet on Mahomes 100 times as an underdog, you're gonna be in the green.
Not right, 99. You just are. All right, Cincinnati Bengals. Joe Burrow was right. We're not a championship caliber team. He was right. They're just not. The defense is poor. The tackling is atrocious. They're taking on the Los Angeles Chargers. The Chargers are -2.5 on this one. 45 is the number. +120 on the Cincinnati Bengals money line. Look, man, the Chargers, I'm starting to buy into the Chargers. I had this weird thing where I was not in on the Chargers to start the year, and I kind of wanted to see how it flowed. And now I'm at a point where I'm starting to believe a little bit that they've figuring out their identity. And I just feel like no lead is safe for the Bengals with the way that defense plays. So 2.5 is comfortable for me. I'm taking the Chargers with the 2.5. Your thoughts?
I like the Bengals here.
Okay.
I think that their offense is still, I just love their offense. I think they can score points. Joe Burrow, the trends point to him coming off losses. One of the best against the spread. So kind of like backing Mahomes as an underdog, backing Joe Burrow after a loss, especially a loss against the Baltimore Ravens, where, I mean, they had that game. It just came down to the 2-point conversion. They came up short, but we know they can put up points. If anything, I just like the over in this game. Like, we've seen the Chargers were willing to open it up through the air when we have to. They haven't really had to in a lot of the matchups. They've played a lot of weaker opponents. This week, they're playing the Cincinnati Bengals, who they can score 30 points, I think, against any defense. So I get the Chargers defense has been very good. I don't think they faced an offense like the Bengals. And to me, I was surprised that this total was around 46.5, where to me, it seems more like a 48.5, 49-point total game. So this is at a dome too. This is in Los Angeles, where there really is no home field advantage. So I like the over in this game probably the most.
All right, last one here. That's the Sunday night game too. See, one more thing about that game, Andrew, I just want to throw in here. My concern is, do you get to a point where, you got Gus Edwards back, you have Dobbins, do you just kind of grind this, make it really ugly and keep Burrow off the field kind of game? And I feel like Harbaugh is going to want to do that. And that's going to make it tough for Cincy, where they've got to, when they get the ball, they've got to score, which to your point, you're 100% right. They have. But if you limit their opportunities and you don't allow too much on the defensive side there, maybe you can get this field goal victory here. It's going to be an interesting one, that's for sure. Certainly a tough one to be betting on, too. These teams are very week to week, get a little Jekyll and Hyde. The Houston Texans, another team. Oh, man, do they need Nico Collins back. We didn't realize how important Nico Collins was to this offense, did we? Until he wasn't there. And my goodness, what a difference it makes. They are taking on the Dallas Cowboys, though. The Houston Texans finally catching a break here on Monday Night Football. This seemed at the time like a fun Monday Night Football game, but now it seems like it's going to be pretty one-sided. They are 7-point favorites in Dallas. 42.5 is the number, plus 260 for the Dallas Cowboys. Do you think the Houston Texans can handle their business here on Monday night and clear this 7, Andrew?
Yes. Fade the Dallas Cowboys into oblivion. Bet against them every single week. This is the new trend. Bet against Dallas. Doesn't matter who they're playing, what the number is. Just keep betting against Dallas.
If this number jumps to 8.5, you still like it?
Yes. I mean, how many points were the Houston against the Lions? The Houston Texans were up how many points because they couldn't score in the red zone. They're going to be able to score in the red zone against Dallas. Especially, I think they're going to get Nico Collins back too. So I think I would, again, going back to let's be aggressive, getting on some of these lines early. Get on this now because I think Nico Collins is coming back next week.
Yes, yes, and yes. This is one of the better early lines you're going to find because I'm with Andrew. I think Nico comes back, and I do think that makes a significant difference for this offense and for CJ Stroud. He's that safety blanket guy. He's that guy that you want out there who's been so good with CJ Stroud these last 2 seasons, and unfortunately, this injury is dragged on longer than we thought. We thought we'd get him back last week. We didn't, and it might have cost him that game, but I am with Andrew, especially with that extra day on the Monday night. I think we're going to get Nico this week, and that means I want to jump on it now because I do think this one gets to 7.5 to 8 to 8.5, potentially 2, as people have more and more time to digest just how bad the Dallas Cowboys might be.
Just wait till they announce Trey Lance as the starter.
Oh, baby, double digits. Let's go. That happens. Double digits.
Oh, wait, so that's, no, if it gets to double digits, the process, I just don't bet double digits when guys are on the road, when teams are on the road. That's what I'll jump off. But if it's 9, fair. I'll be okay.
Even Andrew Erickson has a threshold for the Cowboys. All right, make sure you, again, subscribe to the BettingPros YouTube channel. Drop your comments below. And don't forget to ring that bell for notifications and subscribe to the BettingPros podcast wherever you get your pods. That'll do it for us, but the story of the game goes on. For Andrew Erickson, I'm Joey P. We'll see you next time, kids.